Golly, that was sure pretty, huh?
Yeah.
It's like the mist is what's pretty, you know? All gold and silver.
We're rolling. Welcome back. Well, this is a new podcast. My friend, Randy Shanofsky. What's up, my man?
I am so happy to be here, and everything is good. You caught me on a mini hiatus week. We're halfway through my season, the third season of All Rise. They give us a couple weeks off to refresh and to charge our batteries for the back half. And I'm so happy to be here with you.
I always enjoy speaking with you. We speak via text. We speak on the phone. We spoke on my prior podcast. But always a pleasure talking with you. Always a humble, super nice guy. If people that are listening / watching don't know, my friend Randy here is a first assistant camera person. And I'm not gonna obviously run through your entire IMDb, but if anyone is curious, look up Randy Shanofsky IMDb. Your resume is second to none. It's ridiculous. Just to mention a few in no particular order: All Rise, Major Crimes, The Closer, 24, Grey's Anatomy, Chicago Hope, Sequest, 30 something, China Beach, Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, Highway to Heaven. Every time I get a chance to mention Michael Landon, I do, or Highway to Heaven. I don't know why, but I do. The movie Masters of the Universe, Cocktail, Canine, and I mean, so many others. The Beverly Hills 90210, of course. And this is what season of All Rise? Third season of All Rise.
Third season, and I've been there since the pilot. So thank you for that introduction again. And wow. I have to say, when you go down those credits, I remember them all and I have memories from them all. And we talked about it on the previous podcast for those that may be interested.
Right.
But the funny realization now is that I'm either, when I hear that list, that either makes me an old guy or I can't keep a job.
Right?
Yeah, but no, I'm happy to say I'm an old guy. I've kept every job I've ever been.
Yeah. It's and you know, you put me in contact with people that I never thought I would ever have a conversation with, man. I mean, from Tony Dennison, Jeff Kober, like all these people. Like, how do I have Jeff Kober's phone number? Like, I think about that sometimes. It's like, it's very strange, you know. It's in an awesome way.
Well, but that's a testament to you, because I am sure before they call you, they say, well, let me see what Brooklyn Blast Furnace, the previous one was, and this one. And, you know, before they get into it, who's Jimmy Ferrari? They do a little search. It doesn't take them long to say, of course I'm going to Jimmy Ferrari. Yeah. That's a compliment to you. It's a feather in my cap that I get to introduce anybody to you.
Yeah. I appreciate it.
And the irony is we've never met.
We've never met in person, but that's going to change. It has to change.
That's going to change.
Yeah, not in person, but I feel like I know you anyway. We speak fairly often.
Absolutely. A long-distance friendship.
Absolutely. Now, this being the Delta Bravo Urban Exploration Team podcast, one of my, besides speaking about it and doing these things on my own, because I love to do these things, go out on missions and go to spots and this and that. And, you know, I want people to maybe who aren't aware know what we do and the people involved. And you have, if people don't know, they should by now, but just in case, if The Outsider's house, if Danny Boy never found The Outsider's house, the Delta Bravo Urban Exploration Team wouldn't exist. It just wouldn't exist. So it's funny how, like, I guess, quote unquote, how the universe works. you know, with knowing Danny and meeting you through Danny and all these other people. And, you know, you have, it's almost an unbelievable story, like almost legitimately unbelievable how you found yourself in show business.
Yes, it is unbelievable.
Things like that don't happen, but it did once.
It did once. And you know, I said that it could, I can't imagine a story like that, what happened to me, ever happening again. I guess there's no such thing as 100%, and I guess there's no such thing as 0%, but it's pretty close to 0% chance in today's society where everybody's got a camera on their phone.
Yeah.
It's acts of loving kindness. That were shown to me by David Inhofe and Susie Hinton. I'm not sure can happen as easily today, just because I think we're a little too suspicious of people.
Sure.
And social media has a big hand in that. The divide in the politics in the country has a hand in that. A lot of stuff has a hand in that. But I was lucky enough, shall I say?
Well, before you get into everything, I'm gonna be as bold and make a statement and say I'm gonna say 0 chance of it ever happening, just because of the fact nobody orders shoes through an order form in a magazine anymore.
Yeah, the way he did it was he had a classified ad in Rolling Stone, and you sent him 50 cents. You literally put no PayPal, no internet. You taped 2 quarters to a piece of paper and put it in an envelope. You know, David Inhofe told me he would go to the bank with rolls of quarters. Something that doesn't happen ever anymore. And, you know, he would send out a catalog, and the instruction was you were to stand on a piece of paper. You get 2 pieces of paper, and with your bare feet, you trace your feet left and right, send it back to him, and then he would tell you what sizes he had. This would never happen, right?
Yeah, it's like who's ordering shoes now? What were these shoes?
This is from a bygone era. They don't even make those shoes anymore, but they were called Calso Earth shoes. Anna Calsa was a yoga instructor from Sweden, I guess, somewhere in Scandinavia. And she decided that she was going to develop this shoe that would mimic the way you would be walking barefoot on the sand, for example.
Okay.
She deciphered that your heel was lower than your toes when you walked barefoot in the sand. So it was when you put the shoe on, it took some getting used to, because imagine your heel is lower. Usually a heel is high, higher than the front, but this was backwards. So it's like, and it gave you a feeling like, yeah, I'm pretty laid back, and I'm cool like this. And it was short-lived, but I'm happy that I bought my pair for sure, because.
Do you still have your pair of Earth shoes?
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Yes. Yeah. In fact, I still have everything. I had the foresight to know how unusual this story was. Hopefully everybody knows this story, and if they don't, I'll give you the abbreviated version in a minute. But
okay.
I kept my plane tickets. I kept the Rolling Stone magazines. I kept all the handwritten letters back and forth between David Inhofe, who is Susie Hinton's husband, who owns the shoe store in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and the correspondences I had with Susie. I took a roll of pictures when I was on the Outsider set. I have all those pictures, which are happily in the museum now. So yeah, I kept everything, and of course I kept those shoes.
That's amazing foresight, man.
Yeah. If anybody wants to hear the long, drawn-out story, I would refer them. I still remember episode 214 of the Brooklyn Blast Furnace podcast.
Correct.
You can hear that.
Yeah.
Or if I may, because this will tie Danny in,
Sure.
if somebody wants to hear an NPR podcast that my friend Bob Carlson did on the flagship station in Los Angeles, KCRW, all you have to do wherever you are is Google KCRW Unfictional, that's the name of their podcast,
Mhm.
The Outsider, that's the name of the episode. KCRW Unfictional, just like it sounds, the spelling, and The Outsider. And then you'll hear
The
the story. But
incredible story.
But let me try and tell it again. And let me see if
Sure,
I can-
absolutely, because
Okay,
people need to know if they don't know.
Okay, so here's what it is. Just the context briefly. I'm almost 62 years old, and I have almost 40 years in our union, in our camera union. But go back to 1982, I was a film student at UCLA, and I was a big fan of the filmmaker Francis Ford Coppola. There was nothing he couldn't do that I didn't think was the greatest thing I had ever seen. To this day, if I watch The Godfather or Apocalypse Now, all the characters in those movies, I feel like I'm related to.
Incredible.
They're beyond, characters on a screen. They're really tied into the fabric of my soul. And of course, the cinematography of all his movies is exemplary. He only worked with the best cinematographers because only the best wanted to work with Francis, I'm sure.
True.
So I am wanting to be a cinematographer. I'm a film student. This is 1982. Francis Coppola was just releasing his latest film called One from the Heart, which he put all his money into, his personal money, and it was a giant disaster. So Rolling Stone magazine, which I subscribed to at the time, had an article about Francis Coppola and the debacle of One from the Heart. So I read that article, and then I decided, you know what, I'm going to impress my friends and write a letter to the Rolling Stone editor. And I'm going to praise Francis. I'm going to defend Francis, just to get my name out there. And if I was lucky enough, they'd only print 1 or 2 letters per article. But if I was lucky enough that I got selected, then I could go around to my friends and say, hey, look, see Coppola's name on this page? There's my name.
Yes.
Below it. Okay, whatever. It's a whim. Thank God for whims.
Yes, right?
At that same time, at that same whim, I'm looking in that magazine at the classified ads, and I'm thinking, okay, I want to try a pair of Earth shoes. I've heard about them. So I ordered that pair of Earth shoes from Tulsa, Oklahoma. That's important.
Very.
So now this is probably February of 82. Let's say March or April rolls around, and they print March would have been when they printed my letter, the next issue. Right. And it's like, wow, this is great. They printed my letter, and I was, praising Francis, and there's my name and my city where I'm from. And I got to show all my friends, and everybody patted me on the back. The equivalent would be, for the younger people watching, if you took a selfie with someone that was famous, then you would have that honor and that cred to say, hey, look who I was with. Well, there were no selfies back then. So it's like, I like Coppola, look at my name next to Coppola.
Right.
But the shoes haven't arrived yet. Now another month goes by, and I'm wondering, where are the shoes? I didn't contact him. I just decided to be patient. The shoes come. And in the shoes was a letter, a handwritten letter from the owner of the company. And it says something to the effect of, Dear Randy, I saw your letter in the latest Rolling Stone magazine. Francis is here in town shooting my wife's first book, written when she was 16 years old, The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton. So at this point, I understand what I just read, but it's like, how does he know? And then it goes on to say, this is the amazing part, the shocking part. Why don't you, first he said, I'm going to make sure Coppola sees your letter. I never thought he would see that letter when I wrote it. It was just for 3 or 4 of my friends to look at. So he showed Francis the letter, and he said, why don't you come out and visit? Stay a certain amount of time and we'll go to the set and you'll learn more. And I said, of course I will. So I get off the plane and I had this amazing adventure, and that's the story. But before I let the story go, I want to make sure that these little details are clear. First of all, the fact he has many styles of earth shoe. If the style and the size that I ordered were easily taken from the shelf, one of his employees would have done so, and this story would have never happened. I would have gotten the shoes and I would have known nothing, because it didn't come across his desk. The reason why my name came across his desk was his employees said, hey, this guy, Randy Shanofsky from California, is looking for these shoes, but we're having a hard time finding them. Can you help us? So he is curious how people are responding. He read the same Coppola article. He knows that his wife is now working with a Oscar-winning, world-famous director.
Sure.
Let me see what the buzz is. So he looked at the letter, and I have an unusual name, Shanofsky, in an unusual city, Rancho Palos Verdes, California. And he put
kind of sticks out
together and said, wait a minute, this is my customer. And he's a Coppola fan. That should have been the end of the story there. Who then says, he should have just said, any other person who wasn't as gracious and kind would have said, okay, what a great coincidence. Maybe I'll write on there, hey, good work on the Coppola thing. Enjoy the shoes. That's it.
Right.
No, to invite somebody sight unseen, who does that? And I stayed a week. I had carte blanche, and
you met your hero at the time, Coppola, on that set.
Who couldn't have been more gracious, and I've actually seen him quite a few times since over the years. And it's one of these things where when, if I'm someplace, I'll give you an example. I'd have to look it up, but somewhere in the late 90s, I go every year to the ASC Awards. The ASC is the American Society of Cinematographers, and they have their own awards for the shows, television and features that are photographed. Plus they give a Lifetime Achievement Award. This particular year, the Lifetime Achievement Award went to Vittorio Storaro, who shot for Coppola, Apocalypse, not Peggy Sue Got Married, Captain EO, which was the 3D, Michael
Jackson, yes.
He shot Peggy Sue Got Married. No, I said Peggy Sue Got Married, but that's not right. Tucker, I'm sorry. Tucker, about the car manufacturer. So Coppola was his presenter. So in the cocktail hour, when people are mingling, there he is. I tap him on the shoulder. He turns around. Hey, the people that I befriended, and I'd like to think that nobody had a negative. I haven't met anybody from my experience in Tulsa that said, yeah, that guy showed up and he was kind of a pest. I feel like I befriended everybody.
Right.
I know I did.
Yeah.
So it's a unique story. I'm still friends with David Inhofe, of course. I'm still friends with Susie Hinton, of course.
Sure.
And I've worked with many of the cast and crew over the years. And every time it's like, wow, you're the guy with the shoes, and an amazing story. And so happy that my dream to get into the movie business was fulfilled. And I've only ever worked in the camera crew, which is what I wanted.
Wow, it's amazing. It's such a cool story. And it's like going from that and your incredible career, and you're still working and so it's like from all of that, and the Outsiders comes out and years go by. How do you meet Danny Boy?
That's a great question. Here's how I meet Danny. I'm friends now with Susie Hinton.
Sure.
So over the years, I would call once every 3 months. Then it becomes once every 6 months. Then it's you write. Life gets in the way. I got married. I had kids, but I've always stayed in touch.
Right.
So once the internet happened, when she got onto Twitter, I said, this is great because now I can sort of instant message, if you will.
Absolutely.
So we became Twitter friends.
Yes.
She reached out to me and said, here's a site, a Twitter page that, Randy, you might be interested in. And it was called The Outsider's House. And it said, dedicated to preserving the Curtis Brothers home at 731 North St. Louis in Tulsa, and etc. And I didn't know who was in charge of it. I just knew that somebody decided, and you know, that neighborhood, you're going to Tulsa soon, so you're going to see that neighborhood. But imagine years ago, it was even more decrepit.
Of course.
It's not an affluent neighborhood, and it's nobody's fault. It's not a bad thing, but it's just the greasers live there in the story for a reason.
There you go.
But Dani saved that house, and that's another story, a great story. But
unreal.
Yeah, but so I look at that page, and I don't know who it is, and I thought, you know, over the years people have been nice to me, and I'm the recipient of all this grace through the Outsiders. I'm going to see what I can donate to that museum. So I decided to part with a crew t-shirt. It says on the back, Zoetrope Studios, The Outsiders, which I brought back with me from Tulsa when I visited that week. And I reached out via a private message to the Outsider's house, explaining that I have this shirt and would they like it? And now it's Dani on the other end, but I still don't know.
Right.
He says, yes, I would love that shirt. Wow, that's spectacular.
Yeah.
I said, well, just send me should I send it to 731 or where should I send it? He says, well, I'm located in Los Angeles in Beverly Hills. Where are you? I said, I'm in Los Angeles County as well. I said, I assumed he was in Tulsa. I assumed it was a local homegrown thing. That's
he wasn't in Tulsa yet.
Yeah, that's another great part of the story. Sometimes it does take an outsider to understand the value of something and to preserve something that's worth preserving. Sure. Because you're a local Tulsan in kind of a dodgy neighborhood. It's like, you kind of forget, and it's like,
I pass that house every day. Whatever, blah blah blah.
Right.
It's taken for granted.
But being a fan, he knew what it was. So anyway, we met at a diner. I gave him the shirt. That meeting was probably 5.5 hours. I remember his wife at the time called him and said, hey, are you okay? Because he didn't know, you went to meet this guy with a t-shirt and then you're in the back of his trunk. Who knows what's in the world today? But all that meant is that we had a lot to talk about, and we became instant dear friends, and we are still to this day.
Yeah.
That's how I met Dani, through Susie Hinton and telling me about his
Twitter page.
And now I'm proud to say I'm on the board of directors of the museum. I've helped him make acquisitions of items that you'll see yourself in the house.
I cannot wait. I have a room because me and Dani on the first episode, I wanted to bring it up, but we just got caught up in talking about other things. But he had bought a house right across the street and which I think is a brilliant move, and he turned it into an Airbnb, the Greaser Hideout. And I booked a room. I'm going to be renting the whole bungalow, and it's going to be in the middle of July. And I cannot wait to go there. It's this huge road trip we're taking, and that's kind of like the third day into the fourth day. So that's going to be like our rest and relaxation day, for what it's worth, because I know that me and Dani and Nikki are going to be going all over the place because there's certain Outsiders things that I need to hit and mash myself and stuff like that. So I'm sure we're going to be on the go, but it's not going to be driving around like crazy. You're
going to have a great time there. And if I may, on the subject of the Outsiders and seeing locations.
Sure, 100%. Yeah. So talk about whatever you want, man.
Okay. So Jimmy, as you know, and for people that may be watching and or listening to this, that might not be 100% on board with what urban exploration is. I can tell you from my experience, and I can tell you from the experience that I've witnessed of people that visit the museum, is that if you have a movie, in this example, The Outsiders, which you adore and you've seen multiple times,
Grew up on it.
you grew, and it speaks to you in a certain way.
Yeah.
You have in your mind basically a two-dimensional image,
Right.
because you're looking at it on a screen. But once you're there in person and you know that you're touching the fence
Yes.
in the same place that Patrick Swayze, God rest his soul, did that acrobatic somersault on the way to the Rumble. That's the same fence.
Yes.
And then when you walk in the door and the door creaks and you look at the floor, and that's the same floor that they all walked on, cast and crew, back in '82. And when you see the geography, you remember the scene when Pony Boy is making breakfast?
Yes.
Two-bit is Emilio Estevez,
Yes.
and Steve Randall is Tom Cruise. They decide that they're going to come in and surround him.
Yeah. And
make
they
him
grab
feel
him.
great,
Yes.
right? And you say, look at the newspaper, you're a hero. Okay.
Yeah.
That scene, when you're at the house, you now see and feel the geography.
Yes.
It may be lost on people. Well, how did one guy come through this door and where did this guy go? Well, you'll see that in the structure of the house, the way it was and the way it is, you can get to the kitchen either through the dining room, which is the way Emilio came in, or you can cut through the bedroom, the Pony Boy soda pop bedroom,
Yeah.
come in the side way and then
Right.
grab them. But when you see it in 3D,
Yeah.
that's what makes you,
Yeah.
I've seen people drop a tear at the realization when they walk in the door.
Yeah, it's I speak about this a lot and I repeat myself, especially with me and my girlfriend, because we do this stuff all the time. And you're literally, you're on the set of The Outsiders. And I've had several moments like that going to specific places. There's some places like, all right, that's cool. This happened here. All right, that's cool. But there's certain ones that really get you. And obviously you have to be into movies or whatever you're going to MASH or wherever you're going. Something like The Outsiders I grew up on. When I remember it vividly, and it kind of ties into what recently happened. I'm making a left. We were on a mission, I think in Connecticut or something like that. A lot of this gets mumbled, mushed into one thing because we go so many places. So I think we were in Connecticut and we were heading down past like by the Bronx. And I was like, we're right by New Rochelle. And I know that the address is on Alfred Lane in New Rochelle. I think it's 19 Alfred Lane, I believe. So I put it into my GPS, and the GPS, the woman in the phone says, oh, I make a left on Alfred Lane. And I made the left, and it's a super quiet block. There's no cars on the street, just people in their driveways. There was a man walking his dog, and I pulled my truck over, and I let him go inside because I looked weird. I just felt like out of place for a minute. And I got out, and I walked, and I looked to my left, and I looked to my right. And as soon as I looked to my right, I'm like, I am on the set of Goodfellas, where Ray Liotta, rest in peace, crushing news, where he pistol whipped the guy in the driveway.
Right.
And I look to the left, and I have it all in my head. He's walking from Karen's mother's house across this driveway, across right where I'm standing, right into that driveway, and he beats the guy up and he cracks the guy with the gun. And I stood there for it felt like 15 minutes, but it was probably a solid 2 minutes just standing there. And it was, I got this feeling, man. I was like, wow, I've seen that movie a million times. But very little has changed. The color of the house of the one for the driveway where he beats the guy up, the color of the house changed a little bit. There's the garage to Karen's mother's house was a little bit different, But other than that, it's super recognizable. And I had a moment right there, just standing in the middle of the street looking at two houses. So we're going to go into Pony Boy's bedroom where he reads the friggin' letter at the end, Johnny's letter. And it's going to be insane for me,
Yeah. What I'm hearing you say is that realization.
Yes.
I think all of us in this group all share when as I describe it, you went from 2 dimensions,
Yes,
to 3 dimensions.
100%.
Now you've got the smell, the sounds. You're going to hear the train go by in Tulsa.
I can't wait.
You're going to hear those dogs bark in the neighborhood like it does before even the opening image comes on in the movie.
Yeah.
You're going to have a great time. Plus, and I don't want to spoil your trip, it should be surprises, and Dani is the master of ceremony.
Oh, sure. I'm looking into stuff and the Circle Cinema and
it's all close by.
I know.
And a lot of it's walking distance.
I can't wait.
He'll show you the site, which was the old abandoned school that Zoetrope moved into and was the production offices. So Coppola took the principal's office, and Steve Burum, the cinematographer, took the vice principal's office.
Nice.
And all the, everybody every classroom was filled by a department.
Yeah.
And being close to the, in fact, the poster that David Burnett photographed was done with a backdrop in the gym. The same place where they did all the exercises and rehearsed the fighting and the whatever physical stunts that they would be doing. But once you see where that location is, it'll make sense. Well, of course the house would be close by and the park would be close by. And I'm not going to spoil it more than that. Let Dani show you.
Yeah, there's certain things that I cannot wait. Like towards like at the end of the movie where they shoot Dali, like that street and like that point of view. And I mean, the drive-in, the Circle Cinema where it begins, like all that stuff. I even want to see my brick, because I got one of the, custom bricks for the floor. Like, actually I got 2 of them. I don't know if it's ready yet. It would be cool if it was there. But I got one originally. It was for my mom, rest in peace. It was from myself and my daughter. It says, for Judy Ferrari, nothing gold could stay, love Jimmy and Alexa. And then I recently, I don't know, about 2 months ago, got another one. I was like, I want to do something different. I don't want to write stay gold or whatever. So she winds up picking, I think it might be the only quote from a Soch, and it's from Cherry, and it says, be nice and leave us alone. And it's from Jimmy and Nikki. Be nice and leave us alone. Yeah. So hopefully that one's ready. But I can't wait to go and see all that stuff. And I'm definitely looking forward to it, man. I love doing this stuff.
It's going to be a wonderful experience. And here's the beauty of kind of modernizing a little bit. Obviously, the house looks very much as it did if you were to step it back in time. But it's air conditioned now, which it wasn't before.
Of course.
The place where you're staying across the street is air conditioned because it's going to be hot in July.
Yeah.
But everywhere you're going to go is going to at least be air conditioned, and you'll be comfortable and you're going to have a great time. Make sure you take a lot of pictures because
I'm going to.
I know I'll see the mashes on the site, but I would like to see anything else that you would be willing.
I'm going to take 1,000 because we're going on this road trip. It's a total of like 7 full days, and I have like 20 spots that we're hitting. We're driving. We're flying one way into Austin. We're staying at a little stupid little hotel just as soon as we get off, just to get some rest. Picking up a rental truck. I'm picking up an SUV, and we're driving from Austin down to Bastrop, Texas, then back up, hitting a few different spots. I'm spending the night with my drill instructor from the Air Force from 20-something years ago in some weird part of Texas.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, we're going to stop at Waco. We're stopping at Dealey Plaza. I have to, all the way up. I mean, a lot of movie stuff, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like 3 different Texas Chainsaw Massacres and a whole bunch of different stuff, Fear the Walking Dead and all kinds of stuff. And then heading up towards Waco, Dealey Plaza, Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Then we're going over like to Memphis, and then all the way from we're staying at Graceland. I have a room booked at Graceland.
Nice.
Yeah, all good. Johnny Cash's childhood home, Johnny Cash's grave. Then we're going heading all the way to Arlington. Like there's so much stuff that I have. I'm going to put a lot of miles and a lot of driving, but it's already all mapped out and planned. I have everything is booked already. Everything is done.
Wonderful.
I can't wait.
Be safe on that trip.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
hopefully you don't get stung too much by the gas prices. But
Yeah.
yeah. But now, Jimmy, one thing I missed. Are you revisiting any places in the past, or is everything on this trip new for you?
Everything is new.
Spectacular.
Everything is new. There's not one place that I've ever been to that we're hitting. That nothing.
So you're gonna really enjoy it, and your girlfriend enjoys as much as you.
Dude, she's 99 out of 100 of my mashes and my hits. She's there with me.
You know something? I have never met anyone that wasn't entirely on board and thrilled with the plight of urban exploration and choosing the right lens if you can, and the height of the lens, and the just so proper background.
Yeah.
I really want to shout out somebody at some point during this.
You shout them out right now. By all means.
I feel like I need to. So and I think if I'm not interrupting, I'm not interrupting.
The floor is all yours, Randy.
Come back to your road trip if I did.
Sure.
I want to hear more. But for those that know me, and for perhaps those that don't, well, here's the preface. The preface is, as I've noticed, and I'm thrilled to be invited into this group of urban explorers, and everybody has their own little niche. For example, I feel like you're mostly doing the East Coast spots. I feel like someone like Andrew Katz mostly does the hip hop and album covers.
Yes.
So it seems. I may be wrong.
No, you're 100% right.
That's kind of the way it seems. And then others do what they do. But outside of a few of my favorite movies and a few spots that are accessible, like namely The Conversation, which is a Francis Coppola film that was done between The Godfather and The Godfather Part 2, all in San Francisco. You can visit a lot of that movie in 1 or 2 afternoons. And it's wonderful, the realization when you see that third dimension and you're actually there. Yeah. But I guess my little niche is because I am able to gain access to the film studios wherever I happen to be working. I pick the movies that I like, and I put together the Monday studio mashes.
Yes, that's awesome that you have access to that. A lot of people don't have access to that. That's
a lot of people don't have access, and especially now during COVID, right?
Right. So
my recent ones were at Warner Brothers, but this is now where I have to shout out. Listen, I didn't take all those pictures by myself.
Right.
There's a lot of times when you can't do it by yourself. Maybe if I'm by myself, you can find, if it's a low angle, you can set it down and put the timer and it comes out close. You know, sometimes you get lucky. But there is a camera assistant that I've been fortunate enough to work with for a number of years named Benny Bailey.
Okay.
If Benny Bailey's watching, or anybody knows Benny Bailey, he's a terrific person and an outstanding assistant. And he would see some of these Warner Brothers mashes that I would do, and he would volunteer. It's like, okay, I don't need the whole hour to eat and to do whatever. He says, Randy, let's go, and we'll go together, and I'll help line them up, and I'll take the picture if you want.
Awesome.
In fact, yeah. So, you know, we get help from like you with your girlfriend and others with their friends, and me with Benny at Warner Brothers. I have to say there was one picture that I had of Humphrey Bogart during the production of either Casablanca or Treasure of Sierra Madre. I don't remember which one. And he's riding his bike past a stage. They didn't have the numbers then at Warner Brothers, and
Right.
even if they did, the numbers have changed since
Sure.
they've built on. They renamed some some stage numbers. But I felt for sure that this spot was at stage 7. So Benny comes with me at lunch. We both have our bikes at the studio, and it's not lining up. Now, here's something that I feel like is now a rule of thumb. And for those that are more experienced with urban exploration, I think it's absolutely a commandment written in stone. If it doesn't line up, I don't think you're in the right place.
Right.
Right. So it's
To a certain extent.
to a certain extent. Now, if the buildings are different,
Right.
and whatever, of course, the trees.
Yes.
But at the studio, where very little changes,
Right.
so I'm forcing it, and I'm saying it's got to be. And then Benny on his own went to stage 5, and he said, "Randy, I think this is where it is." You remember, he's just my buddy. He's not thinking about it in the same way. So when we get there, absolutely, he was right.
Nice.
Because there was a manhole cover that had been painted over, so you didn't really pay attention to it clearly. And it was also the thoroughfare to get out onto Olive, which is the main thoroughfare, one of the gates at Warner Brothers. So that's what Humphrey Bogart was probably doing. He was probably riding off the lot at lunch to go grab a bite or something.
Yeah.
Run an errand. So, and in this particular case, this is a main thoroughfare through the studio. So the guard shack is not far from where I'm trying to do this picture, because I'm riding my bike.
Right.
I want to be on my bike with, like I was to put the picture with Humphrey Bogart. So the guard comes out, and I'm thinking, okay, he's going to say, "Listen, you can't block traffic like that." He's saying, "Hey, I love what you're doing," because I explain. You want me to hold traffic for you? I mean, I don't know, and I've heard this before from people that I've talked to. You shouldn't really trespass too much.
Right.
If you have to, and you're a nice person,
Yeah.
and you explain it in a tangible way, and most of the time people are happy about it.
Yes. 100%.
It puts a smile on your face.
Yeah. Yeah. And you'll be surprised. Like whenever I talk about something like this, it always pops into my head. I might have repeated it, I don't know, on another podcast or maybe even with Danny. I don't remember. But it always brings me back to, I walk into, it's like 47th Street or something like that. I don't know. I would have to look on in my mashes. But I'm in the middle of the Diamond District and like a few blocks away from like Times Square. And I'm on like my lunch break. Just like you were saying, like, I don't need an hour to eat lunch. I'm going out because this is only a few blocks away. It shouldn't take me long. I could be back here in time. Forget my lunch. I'll grab something on the run. So I walk in and I'm in a diamond wholesale, like jewelry, diamonds everywhere. And I'm in like a work uniform. I can't walk into a diamond wholesaler taking a whole bunch of pictures like out of nowhere, like what am I, like I'm staking the place out or something like that. You know what I mean? It wouldn't go over well. So I'm walking around trying not to look suspicious, even though I probably did. So I walk over to like my angle and I'm like, all right, it's from the movie Marathon Man, where Laurence Olivier walks in and he walks to a diamond wholesaler. So I look at like my angle and there's an older guy there. Not really, I don't know, I can't say older, but older than me. And I'm like, hey, what's up, man? He's like, yeah, can I help you? And I kind of explain, all right, I'm not a crazy guy. I just don't want to start, taking pictures in here. And I showed him what we do. And I was like, this is the picture of Laurence Olivier in Marathon Man with Dustin Hoffman. He's like, sure, I know the movie. I was here when they filmed it.
Oh.
I'm like, really? He's like, yeah. He's like, yeah. And I was still at this booth. I've been at this booth since. That movie came out in like 1976 or something like that. Yeah. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah. He's like, I remember vividly when they filmed that here. I was like, all right, well, do you mind if I like take a picture of you? He's like, no, absolutely, take a few pictures. And he's like, and I'm looking, I'm like, oh, my angle's a little bit off. He's like, if you want, just step behind. I'm standing behind the guy's jewelry case and taking these pictures because he thought it was awesome, the stuff that I was doing. Only because I explained it. like a normal person and didn't want to like run in, take pictures and run out, I would never have gotten shot. So he was super interested. He's like, wow, that's really cool. Like, have a good day. I was like, oh, thank you so much, man. He was like an instant friend. Like all of a sudden we were just talking about him being there when they filmed this movie. It's just cool stuff.
That's right.
A couple of times, like, I was in Coney Island a couple of weeks ago and it was a salt and pepper video. And it was on the corner of a very sketchy block. And I get out of the car and I'm up on the corner and I'm looking, and there's a guy standing in front of like a little bodega, and there's a couple of guys down the block, and here I am, and I start taking pictures and I hear them, yo, bro, what are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. Like they were not happy that I was on their block taking pictures. I might have been interrupting some kind of business going on. I don't know, but it just wasn't, they were not happy. I was like, all right, I got the shot. I'm going to get out of here now. They were none too thrilled, my friend. But sometimes these things happen. Sometimes
it happens, but mostly it's good news, I think.
Yeah.
I guess, this is called mission statements. If there's a document that would be the mission statement of the Delta Bravo urban exploration team, that's one of the missions, is to be polite.
Yeah.
Don't trespass too much.
Right.
If you explain to the right person at the right time and are able to show them, this is a picture I'd love to recreate.
Yeah.
I can't think of any times that I've ever had.
Yeah. A lot of times they don't even know what happened, like that even took place where they are. Like another quick example is there's a terrible low budget movie from 1981 called Mother's Day. It's a terrible horror movie, but I grew up watching it. I rented it I don't know how many times from the local video store as a kid. And I found out it was at a certain scene was filmed at a VFW hall in Newton, Connecticut. And we go all the way to Connecticut to go to this VFW. This is the extent that we do these things for some ridiculous movie that 50 people might know. So we go there. Knock on the door. Hi, how you doing? And I'm looking around, and I don't know. And there was an older guy, and I speak to him, and I'm like, yeah, this was filmed here. No way, no. And he's like, that's downstairs. And this guy was a member of this VFW hall for like 40 years. Had no idea. And it turns out, I see he has a patch, and he was like an old biker guy. He has a patch. It says Nom Nights on it. I'm like, Nom Nights. I'm like, you know a guy named Steve Mona? He's like, yeah, of course I do. Next thing you know, I'm in this VFW hall in Newton, Connecticut on the phone with Steve Mona. Like, how is this even happening? How do you know these people? And then I brought them downstairs to their own VFW and I showed them the picture. And they were like, oh my God, like the color of the wall back then was like yellow. He's like, I painted that wall from yellow to what it is now. I was like, well, this happened here. He was like, I had no idea about that. He let me hang out. We took pictures all day long.
That's the magic of all of this. And
yeah.
I'm sure that as you build up your list of people that you speak to and those that you will someday, they'll all have terrific stories like that. It's truly a small world.
It is.
And it's really good. I'm sort of along those lines too, and this ties into Benny, who I was speaking of earlier. So when we rode our bikes around Warner Brothers, we both have the same brand of bike. In fact, Benny got his because he liked mine so much, but he got his secondhand, and it didn't have the logo in the front, which they call in bike language the head tube badge. The head tube has a little metal thing. Okay, so he didn't have a head tube badge. So there's a person, I hope he's watching because I'm going to say your name, and I think you know Jimmy. His name is Joshua Ozona Cooper, I think.
Yes.
Okay. So he is sort of the San Francisco Bay Area.
Delta Bravo guy, yep.
Yes. I've never met him, but he reached out to me and he said, because we're friends on, social media, he said, hey, Randy, give me your address. I want to send you something. It's like, okay, it's out of the blue, but I know his name and he's part of the gang. course
Yeah.
I trust him. So
Yeah.
unsolicited and out of the unbelievable kindness of his heart, and because of this community, I opened this box or large envelope, and it's all the stickers and patches and goodies and doodads.
Yeah.
And it's just spectacular.
Yeah.
So I showed Benny. I said, look at some of these stickers. Maybe you would like one for your head tube badge because you were riding around doing, you know, helping me doing these shots. So he picked one that's a little smaller than the average sticker, and it has the Grateful Dead logo in the middle.
Yes.
You familiar with that one? So
Of
it's
course,
a
I
skull.
have. I have
Yeah,
one.
that's cool. I wouldn't mind having a skull in the front and it says Delta Bravo. That's all good.
Yeah.
So on Benny Bailey's bike, who is Delta Bravo by association. He's
By association.
member. I nominate him for full membership.
Why not? He helped you out. He corrected you and found the proper spot from that bike shop.
More than once, I have to say.
I would consider him as a member. He's
Benny,
doing
you're a
work.
member if you're watching. But thank you, Joshua, because I got a lot of joy from that. I did thank you, as I recall. I want to make sure that you got that thank you note, and if not, you're getting thanked now. And one of those stickers is proudly displayed on a bicycle right in the front with that little skull.
Awesome. Very cool, man. Very cool. Yeah, I mean, obviously, like I said before, I enjoy talking to you all the time, but I needed to have you on here because of your connection with, of course, with the outsiders and the house and everything. How do you feel? I mean, I think it's a silly question, but like when you walk into that house now, it's like, can you believe it's still standing? Like what it's become, like what Dani has been doing out there with this whole thing. I find it nothing short of amazing and awesome what he's been doing.
Absolutely. And since I've been friends with Dani since I want to say 2016.
Yeah. Around
April 2016, he was the impetus for me to go back to Tulsa. Just so you know, I was in Tulsa in May of '82, stayed in touch with everybody, but never went back. Not even to see Susie and David. Just, life gets in the way.
Of course.
But I met Dani at the right time. My kids are already older. I was on a job, the Major Crimes, which had, in the course of the season, 4 weeks of hiatus. So there were times where I could break away.
Yeah.
So when Dani was going back and forth, I thought, you know what? I could go and see David and Susie again. We'll all have dinner, and I'd like to see the house as it progresses.
Sure.
So I didn't just see it as it stands now. I've seen it at various stages.
Wow.
And I got a chance to meet all the people that have put their blood, sweat, and tears into that house, from the people that have volunteered to work on it, to donate their expertise, everything from people that repair stuff, the guys that did the floors, refinished the floors that Dani will show you. There was a heating grate that was located in a place where somebody could, with the wrong shoes, could trip and fall down in a museum. It would be a problem. So he got rid of that grate. But the question was, how do you blend in wood to a 100-year-old floor, whatever it is? So they got somebody, you can't even tell where it is. He'll show you.
Wow.
But you'll look at it and you'll say, man, I never know that there was a hole there once upon a time. But I don't think that company charged him. And if they did, it certainly was discounted. You got the outsider's rate.
Yeah.
So I've met all of his crew. I've met all of his docents that do a great job of opening the house and running the gift shop and answering all the questions for people and the tours. People want to know. They want to, there's a lot of people now that are Delta Bravo members because they all want to recreate shots around the house. They want to sit with the chocolate cake. Of
course, I'm going to do that. You have to do that.
Make sure when you do it, I know you're not a novice, but make sure you don't go a 9x16, 16x9 with the phone.
Yeah.
Right? And make sure you're low, because look at the frame grab. They'll show you on the big TV that they have in the thing. But that camera that shot that was only a few inches from the ground.
Right.
So if your head is in the doorway and the camera's low and this way, not this way, then you're going to be in business.
Yeah.
Forgive me for saying that. You know this stuff.
No, that's fine. Now, listen, any little bit, because that's one thing that irks me. Like, I'll take a whole bunch of shots and then I'll upload them to my computer, like, and I'm like, my angle is way off. What the hell was I thinking? You know what I mean? Like, so I'm going to be super hypersensitive, I guess, and super cautious of all of my shots that I take on this whole road trip, because, like there's one, like yesterday, as a matter of fact, we were on Coney Island, and there was one, it was a behind the scenes shot from the beach looking towards the boardwalk. It was behind the scenes of the movie Angel Heart with De Niro and
love that movie.
One of my favorites.
Love that movie.
Yeah. And I've hit a whole bunch of spots in New York from that movie. And I put them all on my computer. I'm like, I'm way off. I'm like way off. I thought it was like a shoe-in easy shot. I'm way off on it. But I'm like, all right, no big deal. Coney Island's right here. I can get that any day if I want to. But like if I'm in some weird place in what is this? Wimberley, Texas, and my shot is way off, I'm going to be a little aggravated at myself.
Wait, why did you say Wimberley, Texas? My former in-laws, who I love, live in Wimberley, Texas.
Well, that's one of the spots because I have my list here of all the spots that we're going to hit. And that was the first kind of oddball place that I saw with my eyes.
I mean, I've never heard anybody say Wimberley, Texas outside of the family, so to speak. And I don't know what the population is. Someone would Google that, but it's probably
about 200. I don't know.
It's in the hill country, they call it, of Texas, between San Antonio and Austin. It's beautiful. I don't know when the wildflowers bloom, but if you're going to see wildflower, it'll be just purple everywhere.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, if the wildflowers have blossomed in the third week of July, then I'll be seeing them.
Somebody has to Google that, but if you're going to see it, you're going to fall in love.
There's a place in Wimberley, Texas called Pioneer Town.
Does not ring a bell, but
it's a legitimate abandoned like ghost town.
But what movie?
It's not from a movie. It's from the show Fear the Walking Dead.
Okay.
And if you map it, go onto Google Maps or whatever, and type in Pioneer Town, Wimberley, Texas, and you do the street view and you look, it's like exactly. It says opera house and this and saloon, and it looks like it's right. It's like on set, and it's an abandoned ghost town in Texas.
Wonderful.
Strange.
Do you and your girlfriend like to eat barbecue?
I do. She doesn't necessarily, but I told her, listen, we're in Texas. You gotta, when in Rome.
Yeah, every place is a little different, but if you want to remember this. In Wimberley, it's famous. It's called the Salt Lick.
I'm writing it down right now. The Salt Lick.
The Salt Lick.
In Wimberley.
In Wimberley. You will not be disappointed.
I'm all in.
Yeah.
I'm all in. Yeah, there's several places. I won't go crazy into it, but this is what I have mapped out, depending on unforeseen circumstances. If I might not be able to hit one of these, I might find a surprise along the way or whatever, you know what I mean? But this is like the outline. We land in Austin. Then one of the first spots is going to be the water. I don't have it on my updated list, is the water tower where DiCaprio climbs in What's Eating Gilbert Grape.
Wow, sure.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah. That's all right there. That's our first stop. That's our first one. And then there's a church. It's in Austin where there's a shot of Danny Trejo from Machete, which is like right there. So it's literally like a half a mile from the water tower. So I got to get that shot. There's a place it used to be called Cut Right Chainsaws. It was a legitimate chainsaw repair shop and I guess wholesale place or whatever store. But now it turned into a bar called the Mean-Eyed Cat. That's on West Fifth Street in Austin. That's from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, where Dennis Hopper goes in there and shenanigans happen. In Pioneer Town, then another spot in Austin, Farm to Market Road seems to be like one of the main roads that we're going to be on in that part of Texas. It's a huge road from Friday 13th, 2009. We rented a room. It's actually a cabin. And it reminds me of like what Danny did with the Outsiders, especially with the Airbnb. The original Texas Chainsaw Massacre in the gas station that they pull up to in the beginning of the movie was all dilapidated and whatever. And somebody had the wherewithal and the foresight. They made a whole, they reconstructed it and polished it up really nice. And it's open for business. You could buy barbecue in there. And there's like 4 or 5 cabins that they built behind it. So you could stay at the Texas Chainsaw Massacre gas station. And there's like, it's awesome. So I rented a cabin. So the first night after we land, like that night we're staying at a small little hotel. And then the next night, we're staying at the gas station from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which is a cool tourist thing. They have like celebrities there and horror people and stuff and barbecue. So that's going to be a stop. That's in Bastrop, Texas. There's the bridge from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 is there. We're going to drive right past the house from the opening to Best Little Whorehouse in Texas. That house is going to be there. There's Dell Diamond Stadium, which is in Round Rock, Texas, from also Fear the Walking Dead. Leander, Texas is the Baghdad Cemetery from the opening shot of the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And I have to get a reservation just to be on the safe side, but the actual house that the Texas Chainsaw Massacre was filmed in, they cut that house into four pieces or 6 pieces and moved it to the next town over. And it's just exactly the same how the movie was filmed in it. And it's a restaurant. So I'm going to go and have like a bloody steak in the house from the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which is insane to me.
You're going to have a great time.
Yeah. So all of these things, I'm going to be like these 3-dimensional things of things I grew up on. It's just unbelievable,
Now, can I just back up on one thing you said about the Best Little Whorehouse in Texas? That's with Dolly Parton, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I don't know a lot about it, and I'm not sure I've even seen the movie, but if it doesn't line up for you, just remember what I'm about to say. I was always led to believe, of all the times that I've worked at Universal Studios here in LA, that
Go ahead.
that the house from that movie is on the lot.
Correct.
Maybe it's a copy. Please explain.
And that's why I said from the opening of the Best Little Whorehouse in Texas, in the opening credits.
They were on location for the opening.
Yes. Yes, it says like Burt Reynolds, Dolly Parton, Best Little Whorehouse in Texas, and they're driving, and it zooms really fast to a house, and I found the location of that actual house from the opening of that movie. It's not the interiors, and It's not the other spots. It's the opening.
And there's nothing that they need to be ashamed of that they were in 2 different places. That's what movies do. They do what they can and should do for the schedule and for what costs. Whatever the budget allows. Right. But when you get to Tulsa, just know that except for 1 or 2 little quick shots that were pickups that were done in Los Angeles, I'm not even going to tell you which ones they are. I don't want to spoil it for you. There's a couple of little shots that were done in LA that they needed when they were editing the movie. Outside of that, everything was shot in and around Tulsa. And you'll hear other cities like Sapulpa, Wasso, and Danny will tell you more. But
Sperry,
thank you, where the
The DX.
Yes, and a few other scenes, but they're all close by.
I can't
They're
wait.
all, you know, a little drive away, and you'll
Yeah.
have a wonderful. How many? What have you budgeted as far as time in the Tulsa area?
In Tulsa, we
Yeah.
get to Tulsa early in the morning, like early in the morning, Tuesday the 19th of July. And we're staying there all day. Like we're doing Tulsa that entire day, that night, and then leaving the next day.
So yes,
It's like a full day.
you're gonna need it all. I have.
Oh,
to
I
say,
know.
Yeah, you're gonna need it all.
I know.
You got a lot to see, and you know what? There's part of me that's jealous because it's like if you like classical music, it's like if you know somebody's going to be listening to the Beethoven Fifth Symphony for the first time, and you've heard it 1,000 times, you're thinking, "Wow, boy, would I love to be back in time where if you're experiencing this for the very first time,
Very first, long,
right?
long overdue.
Yeah, and everybody is going to be treating you very well, from Danny to all the docents at the museum. They're all going to know you.
Yeah.
And you're going to have a wonderful time. And I'm jealous that you get to experience that
First time.
all in 3D, like we said.
Yes, 100%.
First time. And you'll never look at it in the same way again.
No.
Next time you watch with Alexa the movie, you'll say, wow, I feel the vibe. I feel and that's why we do this, you know.
Yeah.
But you'll never feel the same way, but in the best sense.
Oh, 100%.
You were there.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
I cannot wait, Randy.
Yeah.
And trust me, I will be taking thousands of pictures in total from this whole trip, guaranteed. And I looked, it's like I have like a little folder on my phone, and it just says road trip. And I currently have, I mean, this is from, I mean, The Outsiders, all different movies. I currently have 189 images that I could possibly hit and mash.
Wow.
Dude, it's a lot.
If you did an eighth of those, that would be a full trip.
Yeah, I have 189. Will all of those get hit? Probably not, but I will get several from every single spot that we go, guaranteed.
But here's the thing, you're going to make a lot of friends. You're going to make friends that you've never met before, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what we said. And if history proves correct, the vast majority of the people that are exposed to, hey, I'd love it if I could take this picture, or maybe you let me in, they always, I don't want to say always, but 99% say yes. When I did my photo album for the conversation back in 2006 and a little bit into 2007, they're mostly outside and nobody was going to bother me. But there was one, if you know the movie, there's a structure where Gene Hackman's character works. That's his sort of audio recording shop where he edits all his recording devices are in there. It's his business. And now I'm not even sure, I knew the address, but it never was an audio recording place. It was an empty warehouse when Coppola shot there. And now it's offices where there's cubby holes and it looks different, but the wall, it's a brick building. So the brick is still the same and you can kind of line it up. But it's a public place. I can go in, but I don't have any business there, whatever they were.
Right.
And I said to the receptionist, I said, this is why I'm here. I'm not here to buy anything or to hire anybody, but it's this movie and this and that, and see, oh yes, I bet it's this window over here. And you get there and it's like, yeah, that's the window. It's a little different because San Francisco is susceptible to earthquakes.
Yes.
So they've had to put these braces, these metal braces over the window and the bricks, because bricks in an earthquake are bad news.
Sure.
Yeah. So they've supported it, but I was able to gain access not only inside the building, but behind somebody's desk, and just like just with a kind word and a smile, and nobody wants anything for it.
No.
Like, hey, this was cool, and maybe I'll look at the conversation someday. I never knew it was filmed here, and
exactly,
et cetera. Yeah.
Very cool, man.
So moving forward, with mashes and stuff, I know that you have more of a plan, 189 mashes. I don't really, I guess I don't really have a plan other than when I'm at a studio. Anytime I see a picture at a studio that I like, either behind the scenes or from a movie, I make a note. So the next place I don't have any jobs lined up at Paramount, but if I have some free time and the COVID restrictions are easing now, I'm going to go to Paramount. I have some stuff that I want to do there.
Nice.
The studios don't change very much. And then I can tell you this, you know, I'm always thinking about what to see, even though I'm not actively thinking about it. And the example is, I recently saw, you know, I can watch The Twilight Zone, the original Rod Serling from the 60s, over and over.
Over and over, of course, classic.
If they have a marathon, you turn on one, you're going to watch.
You just leave it on, sure.
Right. So there was an episode from the first season, and if anybody knows anything about The Twilight Zone, everyone, I think most people remember an episode where this woman was driving cross country, and she kept seeing this hitchhiker.
Yes.
And she left him back, and he's in front again.
Yes.
And I'm running away from him, and there he is again. So in this story, she's driving, and what piqued my interest, she's driving, I don't know where in the story, but you can see a sign that says Rolling Hills Estates. My eyes lit up. This is from 1960.
Wow.
Why Rolling Hills Estates? Where I live, Rolling Hills Estates is only a couple miles away.
Wow.
We still have signs. They're not the exact same signs. They're modernized, but it's like you're entering or leaving Rolling Hills Estates, you know, welcome to. So I'm going to look around. I don't know where it is, but I'm going to see maybe there's some curvature to the road. I already took the screen grab.
Yes.
This time I'm in Rolling Hills Estates, I'm going to try and put that one together. But
Of
that's
course.
how I look at it moving forward. I don't really have my heart set on anything in particular.
Right.
But if I see it and I recognize it and I feel like it's easy to get to, I want to do it. And, you know, the beauty is, you know, you post it and somebody who doesn't live near here that may know the show has an appreciation.
Sure. And maybe one day they would like to go see that. And that's why we post addresses and stuff like that.
That's exactly right.
You know, it's you're sharing it. We're not holding secrets here. This is what it is. And I'm spoiled being in New York. I could watch so much stuff. And one of the first things I always think of, if it's like a movie or whatever that I never seen, where'd they film that? Oh, that's definitely New York. Okay. Oh, I walk past that all the time. And on my way to work, I can get a shot. Like, I'm so spoiled here in New York that I'll never run out of spots to hit, ever.
Right.
You know, it's like Times Square, like the buildings, you can't, like, I just put Danny boy, he messaged me on Instagram the picture of Mr. Peanut from like the 70s in Times Square. He didn't write anything. That was basically him saying, go hit this. And I was like, wow. Like 2 days before, I was literally right across the street for a King of New York with Christopher Walken shot, literally right across the street. I was like, I can get this Thursday. This was like last week, like Tuesday. Like, I can get this Thursday. I work like 4 blocks from here. It doesn't look anything like it. And I saw the background. It said they said newsreel was like on the top of the marquee of the theater. So I'm like, all right, Newsreel Theater, Times Square, Embassy One, located 1560 Broadway. And that's where I looked at Street View. I was like, I was literally 25 feet across the street from that spot 2 days ago. And like 2 days later, I took a couple of pictures, done. Spoiled.
Yeah.
Spoiled.
That's really a great story. Danny once also years ago asked me to check something because he knows where everybody lives. So he had a picture he sent me of Charles. Is it Charles Bukowski, the poet? Okay, so he lived in San Pedro, and I know where his house is, and he's buried close by. I've been to his gravesite. I've read a few of his books. So interestingly enough, for those that like Rumblefish as well as The Outsiders, so Rumblefish stars Mickey Rourke and Matt Dillon, who both in different movies played Bukowski. I
didn't know that.
Mickey Rourke played Bukowski in Barfly.
That's right.
Mickey and Matt Dillon played Bukowski, and I'm going to mispronounce it. It's something you'll have to look on IMDb. Factorum,
Okay.
something like close to that.
Okay.
Forgive me, I don't know exactly.
Fine.
Somebody out there is saying, "Why don't you know?"
Of course they
Just in
are.
case, no disrespect, but they both played Bukowski. So anyway, Danny sent me this picture of him at the port, and I could see the background, and I knew exactly where it was. But when I got there, you could see where his feet were. There was one of those ties where they would run the ropes to tie up boats and stuff. But you
Yes.
couldn't see any of the background. You could see the Vincent Thomas Bridge that connects San Pedro to Long Beach, and you couldn't see because the USS Iowa, the battleship, is now an attraction here in LA Harbor.
Right.
So I sent him the picture. I said, "Hey, Danny, this is where he's standing, but the background's gone because the battleship's here." But that's also part of the thrill. It's not like, "Hey guys, get this battleship out of here so I can mash."
Right.
It's a celebration if you get it and it's perfect, but it's also a celebration where you see over time the differences.
Absolutely. It's a before and after in one picture.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I remember this is flashing me back to the Brooklyn blast furnace, that you can take this wonderful hobby, and that's the wrong word, hobby.
No, it's not. It's fine. It's fine.
And you can, if you're lucky enough to know people for a number of years and you have an old picture, update it. Try to find, maybe you can visit the same place.
Of course.
Stand on the same side. If you're on the left of the picture, then you be on the left. And update it. I did that with my kids. I've done that with actors. I've done that with coworkers.
Yeah.
Where you'll look at pictures 25 years apart and you'll see the hairlines are different.
Yeah.
I'm wearing glasses now. I have a beard now. The other person the same. The technology is different. I have a picture with a cinematographer I worked with for years, where you look at those two mashes 25 years apart, everything is different. The hairline, the eyesight, the waistline, the camera, you went from a film camera to a digital camera.
Yeah.
It's really wonderful.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. I've done that I did that for myself, not necessarily for a Delta Bravo thing, but I did one. It was a childhood picture of me. It was like, I must have been maybe a year old, and I'm on a bike, and I'm on a bicycle, and my sister is like, I'm sitting on the bicycle, my sister is walking, and my father is holding the handlebars, and we're in a park here in Canarsie in Brooklyn called Seaview Park. And I have to believe that my mother is the one taking the picture. And this is like 1970. I was born September 75. So it has to have been summer of 76 because it's nice out. And I found that exact spot in Seaview Park. And I was just like, wow, like it was just a personal thing. It wasn't anything, and I did that, and I mashed myself in together. I'm like, that's just kind of crazy how things change. And it's just a moment in time. And it's just to reflect back, like how times have changed. I've done that with a few of my own personal pictures, just for whatever reason.
To do that. And that's the answer to anyone who says, you know what, I don't really care about movies and television. I don't know who would say this, but let's say somebody said, I don't care about movies, TV, album covers, true crime, et cetera, et cetera. You can do this in other ways too.
Of course.
And it's a version.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely a fun thing to do. It doesn't cost you anything. Not necessarily. Maybe a trip on the subway, or maybe some gas or a toll, especially if you're in New York or whatever. But other than that, man, everybody has a phone. Everybody has the internet. It's a great reason to get out of the house and go do things and see things that you never would not ordinarily see. It happens to me every single time we go out on a mission. Every single time, without fail.
And I'm going to do more. I'm inching, since we last talked, every passing second is a second closer to me retiring.
Right.
I'm at that age, and I have that tenure, and I've earned a pension, and I wouldn't mind having some extra time to be more of a parent.
Yeah,
to
of
be
course.
more of a younger brother to my older brother and other relatives that I never really see very much because we work a lot of hours.
Of course.
But if I have more time to travel and go some places that I've wanted to go, either to for the first time or to revisit, absolutely. When you're thinking of your itinerary,
Yeah.
just like you've done, if something comes up where like, wow, this was filmed here or this was done here or whatever, you want to see it.
Yeah.
I-
Yeah.
Let me know when you come back from Dealey Plaza. That whole thing, that whole incident, that whole
Oh my
moment
God.
in our history
Yeah.
is so filled with that some great person, and I don't know who it was, said that we collectively as a people lost our innocence when
Yeah.
JFK was assassinated.
Yeah.
And to actually be at that spot, and I know they have an X in the street, and you can go into the
Book depository, the grassy knoll, the fence is still there. That's going to be like on the set of a real life history.
Did you see the picture that Nako posted?
Yes,
when
I
he's
did.
Standing with spectacular.
Where Oliver Stone is. Yeah.
You do the same thing.
I am going to be that. There's going to be a lot of holy shit moments on this thing. I mean, it sounds morbid and stuff like that, but I mean, what's more morbid than the president being assassinated? But like, I'm stopping in Waco. I'm going to the Branch Davidian compound. Like, I remember exactly where I was when I was in Puerto Rico on vacation in a little gift shop. I look up at the TV and it's this little old lady. What happened? I see half of the Murrah building is gone. She's like, oh, somebody blew up something outside of in Oklahoma City. I'm like, holy shit, I remember exactly where I was. And the actual concrete slab of that compound is still there. The pool is still there. They built a small little church, I guess, because there's still people there, but only a small amount right on top of the concrete slab. And you can go there. They just want a little donation, whatever. But I want to go there because it's embedded in my head, the history and the craziness of all of that. I'm passing by anyway. I want to go to satisfy my, whatever you want to call it, morbid curiosity, American history, however you want to put it. But I want to be and look, I'm just like, the shit that happened here is super heavy, no matter how you look at it, regardless of the fact, it's part of our history. And then the next stop after that, it's just serendipity, I guess, is the memorial for the Oklahoma City bombing, which was the same exact day 2 years later. Amazing. From Waco to Oklahoma City.
Yeah. It's experiencing, I'm going to say it again, that third dimension, because everything we've seen have been in books and on TV screens and on computer screens. When you're standing there and you now see the real relationship to the surroundings and to where everything is, and you smell the air and however it hits you. Yeah.
It's gonna be good. I just mixed up my story, didn't I? I said I was on vacation and I saw the Murrah building, but I was talking about Waco, but that was the next spot. Didn't I just mix that up?
But I know what you mean, because it's a free flowing, because that's how our brains work.
Exactly.
You can't think of a place without, and you just don't know which order.
Right.
Either you're gonna go there special to do your exploring, or you find yourself someplace.
Right.
I'll give you a quick example. I had my older son, Gavin, was here having dinner with me yesterday. And we were talking, and I recommended to him The Jinx on HBO. Do you remember Robert Durst and that?
I do.
Okay, so especially because he's a New Yorker, and that his whole thing was it's an incredible documentary and a very good. But as I think about it, I'm not going to go specially to Galveston, Texas. But if I went to Galveston, Texas, well, everybody knows where he lived and where he murdered Morris Black. But on K Street, I wouldn't mind standing there, and it's like, wow,
Yeah,
Now you know what across the hall was. Now
exactly.
you know how far it was from his apartment to the trash where he threw everything away.
Yeah.
And where Chalmers hardware store is. And he walked to get the bow saw. And I guess it's morbid to those that are
It is,
sensitive,
but
but
it's not like I'm inventing anything. It's just it
Right.
happened here, and this is where I am right now, and I don't even know if appreciate it is the right word, but I will take this moment in, no matter how insane whatever happened here. But yeah, I'm here, and it's kind of a heavy situation, but maybe pay your respects to whatever
Exactly.
situation,
Yeah.
and keep it moving,
That's right.
Yeah, it's like there's a quick little stop. I don't remember the name of the town. It's somewhere in Oklahoma. I believe it's either right before or right after we go to Tulsa. I think it's right before we get to Tulsa. We're going to stop by, and he's in a small little private cemetery, and it's right across the road from a Native American Baptist church. And I will go pay my respect and leave a package of juicy fruit on Will Sampson's grave, the chief from Cuckoo's Nest.
See?
I have to do that.
And you know
I just have to do that.
Danny might, who knows where it is?
I know exactly where it is.
Well,
I just don't have.
no, what I was going to say is Mr. Ed, the talking horse, is buried somewhere. It might be near Will Sampson. We don't know. But
You know what? That's right. I saw Danny next to the tombstone of Mr. Ed. That's right.
Listen, if it's close by, and
I'll take a picture next to the tombstone of Mr. Ed, 100%.
that's the funny thing, and that's again the third dimension.
Yeah.
You sometimes you think they're far away, and sometimes you'll be surprised.
I know
how many filming locations are walking distance from the outsider's house.
I'm sure. I just look at the Austin area. We could spend 2 weeks there in Austin, but like eventually we want to just take we're flying into Austin and driving back home, but we want to come, obviously round trip flight, but we need to do California, and it's got to be like at least a week and a half and hustle bustle, because there's so much that we'd want to see. So much.
That's when we see each other.
That's when I hit you up and we go grab a bite to eat and go hit a spot or something like that. 100%.
Absolutely. Now, your girlfriend's Nikki, right?
Yes.
Is that what you said? Does Nikki have spots that she wants, or is she at this point just your companion? And
no, there's spots that she wants to see, and then I'll go all in and start looking. Like I'm obsessed, like I guess you could say, and I'll look at, all right, so if we go to Austin, all right, then there's this and there's this, and then I'll look, and then I'll start Googling, movies or whatever filmed near Austin, and next thing you know, it's like, and then I'll hit her up like, Fear the Walking Dead was like 40 minutes from this place. She's like, holy shit. Like, and she loves that show, as do I. So a lot of the 99% of the things that we want to hit, we both want to hit. You know what I mean?
Good.
So it's a very mutual thing. 100%.
That's good.
Yeah.
I asked because, and this is just, I may be wrong, but sort of my slightly outsider, I feel like I'm in the second tier of the Delta Bravo guys, because
why?
I don't know why, but I feel like most of the people that I can name are men, and I don't know. Are there women that are in? I can name Nako, I can name Mona, I can name.
That's so funny that you say that. That's really funny that you say that, because
Nikki might be the first. Or one of the That's why I wanted to know is, does she have sort of a feminine take on any of this that would maybe wouldn't be your first choice to visit, but once you get there, you're going to love it because
a feminine take, no. She's all, but she wants to go to the Manson caves with me. You know what I mean? Like, no, she's not hitting up, Mary Poppins. Like, maybe she would for nostalgic reasons, and that's fine. I would too, for the hell of it. But
sure.
But no, we're very much the same as far as our taste in horror movies and true crime and stuff like that.
I was just.
But I wouldn't
curious,
say feminine taste with it, no. But yeah, so coming soon though. Well, actually, when this airs, hopefully it'll be up by then. She does have a mash that she hit, and she wants to post it because, like you just said, they're all guys. We're all guys that post all this stuff. There's no girls that post. It's like Danny Johnson. His girlfriend is with him all the time. She doesn't post anything though, but she's always with him. Right. Nikki's always with me, but she doesn't post anything. So I think we need to turn this franchise around, Randy, and maybe you know.
I don't think it's a boys' club, but it does.
No, it's not. It's not. It's anybody's club. That's what's cool about it.
Exactly. I'm an advocate for anybody joining in.
Why not?
Offering ideas, and I think a lot of people, especially when they're on vacation, do their own version of mashes, even though they don't know that that's what it's called, and they don't know that there's an organization dedicated.
An organization. We're an organization now. That's awesome.
I don't know what we are. When they say Delta Bravo does it better, it's a collective statement, right?
It is. It is.
So it's not a union.
It's not a union.
Danny, if you're watching, what is it? There's a clever word. It doesn't come to me now, but
he'll probably say we're a gang.
It's a gang, but I think but we could let a few girls in, and then we don't keep them out. But I'm glad that Nikki's there. I'm glad that Mr. Johnson's girlfriend is there. If I had a girlfriend, she'd be there.
Right. Yeah. It's good. My daughter has hit spots. I mean, I do all this stuff, but she helped out before, but yeah.
Basketball Diaries.
Yeah, huge. Yeah, Basketball Diaries, the movie Wonder. Yeah, there was a few.
How is she doing since we last talked? Does she still love Titanic and DiCaprio?
Yes. Titanic, DiCaprio. Right now, the new season of Stranger Things just came out, so she's all about Stranger Things again right now. So, but yeah. Thanks for asking. She's doing great.
All those kids from Stranger Things, every season that goes by, they're getting older.
Older and older. Yeah, it's going to be very strange.
Yeah, it's like when I worked on 90210. I only did one early season, but when they were later on, they were doing anything they could to give you the illusion that they were younger than they were.
Yeah. What's the name? What's the last name? Carteris? How old was she? Gabrielle Carteris?
One of the older ones.
Yeah, she was one of the older ones. Even back then, we're kind of like, she's not in high school.
Yeah. But again, come back to The Outsiders. That's the beauty of The Outsiders, because here's a movie that was cast and wasn't ashamed to cast in a major movie, in a beloved story by a major director, actors who were basically, with the exception of a couple, but you still believed it. The couple were Ralph Macchio and Patrick Swayze.
Crazy.
You would believe they are playing the age that they were.
Yeah.
Often they were the age that they were.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. That foresight. And that's one of the reasons why Susie is always fighting that, with any of her fans on Twitter who are begging for a sequel or a redo or something. No. Because
leave it alone.
Leave it alone. And you can't have that chemistry again.
No, you can't. Leave it alone. What are you going to do? How are you're going to write Patrick Swayze off? Tom Cruise probably isn't going to sign up for it. It's like.
There was a short-lived TV series, The Outsiders, which got all of their blessings. Mm-hmm. And I think that was the lesson, with all due respect to that cast.
Sure.
And you know what? Last time we spoke, I was singing the praises of Billy Bob Thornton.
Yes.
He played the part that Tom Waits plays in the movie. What's that director's name? Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Sorry about that.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It'll come to me in a second. But
Danny's yelling at us right now.
Danny is yelling. Sorry. Yeah. But there were a lot of good actors there, but they weren't the actors from the movie. And that's a big hurdle.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so leave The Outsiders alone. There's not going to be a reboot. There's not going to be a sequel.
Right.
I mean, come on. Ralph Macchio's dead in the movie. Patrick Swayze is gone in real life. I mean, who are you going to have?
Yeah, no.
What are you going to do?
You're not going to do it. But it all started with Stranger Things, and to the kids of Stranger Things, you're doing a great job.
Yeah, listen, good for them.
It's entertaining for Alexa.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Awesome, Randy. Now I have a couple of sponsors real quick for the Mission Statements podcast. A big shout out to Dead Sled Coffee. Follow them on Instagram at Dead Sled Coffee. If you go to deadsledcoffee.com and you type in the promo code Delta Bravo, you will get 20% off of your order. And also shout out to Main Street Jukebox. Follow them on Instagram as well at Main Street, MAINST Jukebox. They're a record store in Pennsylvania since 1994. He's also Tom, the owner of the place, is also a Delta Bravo guy. So shout out to him. And the only thing I ever ask anybody is follow Mission Statements on Instagram. It's at Delta Bravo Mission Statements, and the link in the bio is wherever you can find this thing on Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, YouTube, everywhere. Right at the link in the bio on at Delta Bravo Mission Statements on Instagram.
Everybody follow, please.
Everybody.
And by the way, I did order the Elvira blend of Dead Sled Coffee. And
yes.
Outstanding.
Really? That's right. Well, because I did mention in the beginning, you did work on Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, the movie.
I did. And I've done a few mashes at Warner Brothers from that movie because it was filmed there. And the coffee is just as good, if not better.
Awesome. And I will say this, it is in the infant stages of talks. It was brought up and definitely not out of the question, but hopefully in the future, we will have a Dead Sled Coffee Outsiders House Museum blend. That would be really cool to sell either online or at the museum itself, just to put it out there. And who doesn't like a good cup of coffee?
Who doesn't? Yes. And when they sent me the Elvira, they also sent me a nice Elvira coaster.
Oh, nice.
So please, if you make coasters for the Outsiders House, people will enjoy those as well.
Awesome. This was awesome. Once again, Randy, the pleasure is all mine. I appreciate your time. And we'll stay in touch, and hopefully sooner rather than later, we'll bump into each other. Maybe you'll surprise us and you'll be in like Oklahoma on like July 19th.
I wish. I'm gonna be on set July 9th. My show doesn't end until the 3rd week of August.
Okay.
Sadly, all right. I'm gonna be toiling away, but have a great time. I'll be watching for your pictures.
Oh, everybody will see them.
It's always a pleasure to talk to you, Jimmy. And to those in the urban exploration team, gang, union, whatever Danny said. Organization, to those that I know personally and to those that I don't. Right. Just know that I watch everybody's posts. I like as many as I come across my feed.
Yeah.
And there are people, there's a guy, Dalman, his last name, Dalman.
Steve Dalman, yes.
He is all over the place.
All over the place.
How does he do it?
I don't know.
I don't want to start naming people because I'm going to leave somebody out.
Yes.
But I'm sure I've never met that gentleman, but it's awe-inspiring to see.
It's amazing.
That he does and varying things. So
big time. He's all over the place. And Danny Johnson he travels for work. So he'll be in some weird spot in California, then he'll be in New Orleans, then he'll be in Tennessee, then he'll be in New York, then he'll be back. It's like he's everywhere. It's doesn't this guy have a job? Like, how do you do this?
Well, no, he's clever because he does have a job that makes it so his job pays him to travel.
Yeah.
Right? So he's got a free ticket to explore, which is brilliant.
It's great.
So shout out to everybody who is still watching or listening. Thank you for what you all do, and thank you for inspiring me and everybody, and to all the people associated with the Outsiders House Museum, near and dear to my heart. Bless you all, and hopefully we'll all see each other very soon.
Absolutely.
Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure, Randy. Stay gold, my man.
You too. Be well. Safe
Thank you.
travels.
Thank you. And we'll definitely be in touch.
Bye-bye.
Be well.